On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Every single day, it seems to become more and more obvious what is actually going on in the world. This opposition of two opposing forces, one kind of a very restrictive, very censoring, very trying to change and ruin, I think, a lot of the things that make this country so great. They have concerns about the way things are, that things are maybe a little bit broken. So instead of trying to repair, you destroy, damage, topple, and then I guess rebuild. But Lord knows how long that could take. And then on the other side, you've got people that are patriots, that care about their country, that care about the Constitution, that generally tend to be a little more on the more religious side of life, that generally like to have freedom, that don't really want to impose on what others can do, that actually don't mind somebody that has a differing opinion. You disagree with me, let's talk about it. So there's huge differences between these two sides, and every day they're becoming more and more obvious. And what the plans are from the deep state is becoming more and more apparent. So some of the good things that are coming out. One, we've got a very interesting study that's been destroyed in Florida. It's not a study, but the numbers are being called out, and in a very, very good way. We've got some friends in places that are actually sharing real numbers with us for once that are very powerful. So we've got some friends in Texas that are sharing some great stuff. And we've got a couple other interesting stories around Miss Clinton projecting to the extent that I don't imagine she could project any. Like, it is truly like she's saying, here's what I've been trying to do since 2016. Like, it is really amazing. And in fact, the same thing she was saying back then, she's saying now, but with a new twist, a new ribbon on it. And that's incredible. And then an interesting little story that's being spun about Miss Maxwell that I think is worth pointing out, because it's ridiculous, I think, on its face. And I think a lot of people would read it and just be like, yeah, totally, blah, blah, blah. I think there's a little more to it. So we got a couple fun things that we're going to cover on this particular show. We're going to start off with this Fox 35 Orlando site here. They've got an investigation going on that the Florida Department of Health says some labs have not reported negative COVID-19 results. Now, before I jump into this, let's go ahead and we'll listen to them, let them tell.
Monday, shattering the national record for the most coronavirus cases in a single day, with 15,300. Today, Florida once again has more new cases than any other state, with more than 12,000. Thanks for joining us. I'm Luann Sorrell.
I'm Charles Belay. Statewide, the positivity rate is now 11%, and that number has been key in the debate over how to fight this virus. Fox 35 investigating the numbers tonight. There are dozens of labs that process tests. On the state's website, we found numerous labs that are only reporting positive test results. So they show a 100% positivity rate. That got our attention. Fox 35's Robert Guadarrama has been investigating. And Robert, once you started asking questions, you uncovered a new issue with these numbers.
Charles, that's absolutely right. Orlando Health confirming its numbers on the report are wrong. The Florida Department of Health releasing its daily coronavirus testing report, showing a statewide positivity rate of 11%. But Fox 35 quickly noticing some shocking positivity rates. Countless labs reporting 100% positivity. That means every single person tested was positive. We sifted through the reports to find local testing sites with high numbers. Like this Centricare, 83 people tested and all positive. Check out the Orlando VA, a positivity rate of 76%. NCF Diagnostics has a location in Alachua, 88% of tests coming back positive, and 98% for Orlando Health. How could that be? We investigated these astronomical numbers, contacting every location mentioned. Orlando Health, the only to respond, confirming errors in the report. Its positivity rate is in fact only 9.4%. Now, we just heard back from the Orlando VA. They are looking into the numbers. We haven't heard back from the other two labs or the Florida Department of Health. Of course, it makes you wonder if these numbers are wrong. Are other numbers on the report also wrong? We'll stay on top of this story. Reporting live in Orlando, I'm Robert Guadarrama, Fox 35 News.
guy's ripped, right? Look at all the crazy ass muscles he's got. With that being said, we got a lot of craziness going on with all these tests. We've got all these people that were reporting 100% positives on their cases. And in fact, that's very much not true. Now, we've got some actual numbers here. So total tested, they got 2.68 million. Positives, 291,000. Negatives, 2.39 million. They don't report that number, do they? If I said, we've tested almost 3 million people in the state of Florida, you'd be like, wow. And if I said 2.4% of the, or 2.4 million of those people tested negative, or 2.6, like a huge percentage of them are testing negative, well then that makes that, like how many are testing positive, seem like not as scary. So it's very interesting how that number seems to keep getting put out. Here's the number of positive tests we have, but we're not going to show you the negatives, and we're not going to show you the total tests, apparently. So again, it's funny how they're massaging the numbers to prove their point, to help with their talking points. And so we've got something, I think, really large kind of at work here. And again, it's being called out. We've got a lot of people paying attention, and we happen to have someone in Texas, I'm assuming, because normally things like this are a little tricky to find these days, but this is from the Texas Department of State Health Services. Texas population's just under 30 million. And what this compares is seasonal 2018, seasonal 2019 flu, and it compares it to COVID-19 in 2020. And what you'll see is for the flu tests, not a lot of numbers, right? And this is Texas again, 165,000 basically, 192,000 tested in these 2 years, to 2.6 million tests that they've done on COVID. Now, of all that testing, for the seasonal flu, they got 35,000 that tested, 31,000 the second year that tested positive, right? So of the 192,000, 31,000, which pretty significant percentage. I don't have a calculator in front of me, but whatever. With COVID, they've had 250,000 people tested positive. So still a good chunk. I mean, that's a lot of people tested positive. When we look at deaths, seasonal flu 2018, 12,000 people died. Seasonal 2019 flu, 10,000 people died. In Texas, for COVID-19, 3,000 people have died. That's like 33% of how many people, 33%, even 25% of the people have died from COVID compared to past years' flu numbers. Got some recovery numbers in here. Generally speaking, it's pretty high, but the death rate is very, very low. 0.01%. Certainly not pandemic numbers by any means. Now, again, these numbers are being shared with us from Texas, and they're their numbers. Andrew Bostom here shared this in Twitter. So again, interesting how we've got some people that are actually pulling out some good numbers and giving us an indication of what's really going on. See, when you're armed with facts and then all these claims start being made, all these things start being said that start to scare people. I've got it, like I said, I work with a bunch of people in Texas, and they are hearing about how these numbers are out of control, how so many people are testing positive, and it's literally freaking out a lot of the people I work with. Now, I can't just, go off half-cocked and start just saying all the crazy stuff I believe, because frankly, it doesn't necessarily go over well in a professional environment, right? So I keep some of that on the down low. But it is very interesting to see how they rationally talk about it. I work with some very intelligent people. This isn't an issue of intelligence. It's an issue, I think, of trust of what we're told in general, and people that generally mistrust or don't trust what we're told in general. I really think it's kind of more a mixture of that, and then we got a lot of people that are tending to vary in the middle, and that's kind of what the awakening process is. It's when you start to realize, man, we've been lied about a lot of stuff. It's kind of a trip. Now, we constantly keep hearing from social media and all these people that everybody feels this way. Everybody's progressive. Everybody wants to support this, that, and the other thing. So Goya, which is really funny how this is backfiring in so many ways. Well, one, all the left, all the crazy people on the left tried to ban this company. They're like, well, all right, we're going to boycott you. All the conservative people suddenly started buying Goya products, and Goya's numbers surged like no one's business. Now, for those of you that maybe don't know what's going on with Goya, the CEO, CFO, whatever his title is, was asked to speak way back when with Obama. And he did, and he talked to Obama and blah, 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 way back when. Nobody cared. That was fine. And then Trump invited him to actually speak about business owners, and I think business owners that were from minority groups. And Goya was a great success story. So he was asked to come, and he said, sure. And he actually said some very positive things about Trump and about what Trump is trying to do and about how he's trying to help the world. So kind of the way this goes, cancel culture has come to the foods in your pantry, it seems, after CEO of Goya Foods risked controversy to express his support for President Donald Trump. Twitter has mysteriously censored 2 images of Goya Foods. Censored them. So why is Twitter placing warning labels on a picture of a stack of adobo Goya, to whom a seasoning is sensitive content? So there's obviously been this massive boycott that happened. Everybody's well aware of that. And to the benefit of Goya, the other side of the equation came out and started buying this stuff like crazy. In fact, I've heard stories that they're actually limiting how many cans of Goya you can buy at one time because they're selling it so quickly. So a Twitter user responded by tweeting an image of this stacked Goya adobo canister, which I think is the one at the top. And then a day prior another user posted a can of Goya black beans wearing a MAGA hat. Twitter censored both posts, placing an interstitial or a little dialogue box over it, suggesting that the images contained potentially sensitive information. So again, Twitter's basically saying, oh, this is going to hurt people's feelings. This is going to trigger people if they see this picture of a Goya can of black beans wearing Make America Great. Really? Like, seriously, and that's where we're at. And again, Twitter, now it's just even more attention on how Twitter is censoring ridiculous things and obviously stuff that's favoring one side. This was the left that started this whole thing, and then it didn't blow up like it was supposed to. So now Twitter's like, ooh, no, we don't want to promote this. We don't want anyone to see it. It's insanity. So here's just absolute amazingness to me. This is 41 seconds of sheer, it's like it's snipped together beautifully. It's 41 seconds of just, are you kidding me? Like, how could you, she is projecting, she's like looking in the mirror and saying to herself all the things that she's upset about herself, or all the things that she blames herself for, and then she's got like a picture of Trump on the mirror, so she feels like she's saying it to him, but ultimately she's saying it to herself. We'll see what you guys think. I'm a little crazy sometimes. It's possible.
Is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was, and how he was involved in the seeking of foreign help and then the utilization of it, and how Roger Stone was critical to that. But, you know, unless Trump is defeated at the polls in November, we will never really know everything there is to know about this really deep, ongoing dismantling of institutions and undermining the rule of law, and the original sin of the way that he actually won the election. So his being...
Okay, first and foremost, we're going to walk through this one more time, but first and foremost, she used to be a good orator. And I cannot believe how many ums and uhs and whatnot she said in there. And this is Trevor Noah for those of you guys at Comedy Central. But let's just take this comment by comment, and I think we'll have some fun with this.
President is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
So illegitimate. She is still, how many years later now? Almost 4 years later, she is still not accepting the fact that she lost the election, still calling it illegitimate, still saying, I didn't lose, he stole it. Again, interesting.
And how he was involved in the seeking of foreign help and then the utilization of it, and how...
Wait, you mean kind of like that Steele dossier? You mean the Steele dossier that you paid for, that you and the Democratic National Committee paid for, that was written about some dirt, and it was from a salacious source in Russia, and then you had a British guy help write it. You mean something like that? Or, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I understood you with all this foreign support he got.
But, you know, unless Trump is defeated at the polls in November, we will never really know everything there is to know about this really deep, ongoing dismantling of institutions and undermining the rule of law, and the original sin. So
dismantling of institutions, would never know if she lost. If she lost, all the things that they were doing, all the rights they were dismantling, all the executive orders that Obama was doing that she was going to continue to follow suit, we wouldn't start to have found out about Benghazi and all the illegal things that she's done, or the server that's going on, or the Wiener laptop that's got all this information. If she would have won, again, projecting, if she would have won, we never would have found out about any of this stuff, would we? She is completely 100% saying exactly what we accomplished by not voting her in. This woman's a piece of crap, to say the very least. But yeah, she's still claiming that the election was stolen from her. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, Ghislaine Maxwell hid from the FBI, covered her phone with tinfoil. Now, a couple things about this story that just sort of bother me. One, they're saying that Ghislaine Maxwell was living here in New Hampshire. She was hiding. She was doing all this very secretive stuff. She bought the house with this fake LLC, and she paid cash for it. And, you know, she had her phone wrapped in tinfoil so they couldn't track it. And you think about a lot of things. Maybe the tinfoil thing works. Pretty doubtful, because I always joke about putting tinfoil on people's heads, right? All of us crazy people. Like we're trying to keep those evil things out. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. So whatever. Doubtful, kind of, but I mean, it's possible. Who knows? Tinfoil is magical. Try biting on it. It'll mess with you badly. But the thing that's kind of funny to me, and this is where I start to have a small little problem, she was living in a secluded 156-acre estate in Bradford, New Hampshire. Now, first off, Bradford, New Hampshire is a nice part of town. And it's a 156-acre estate. You think if somebody bought an 156-acre estate with an LLC that didn't quite trace anywhere properly, that was paid cash, you don't think the government would maybe dig into that? You don't think maybe that would have caught somebody's attention, especially in today's day and age, especially with people like Barr at the helm, especially with people like Trump that are trying to take down the deep state? Do you think just maybe that they possibly might have known about this? And again, do I really think she was trying to hide? I don't know. Maybe it was one of those things where like you're a parent and your kid's doing something wrong and it's not that wrong. So you don't necessarily want your kid to realize that you're way onto him for all sorts of stuff. So instead you kind of let it go because it's not a big enough problem to pick your battle for, if you will, right? You want to wait until they're really doing something wrong. And then you're going to call them out and be like, how'd you know, Dad? And you're like, dude, I've been spying on you every single day. Come on now, it's crazy. So I have a hard time believing that she somehow managed to keep just completely in the dark. Was she experienced at doing that? Yes. If she is part Mossad, whatever, was she probably very good and had capabilities of doing that? Yeah, probably had help. She even hired some private security, I think some British private security even, nonetheless, who maybe they're the ones who told on her. Hard to say. These things play out in a lot of different ways. I mean, there's all sorts of great stories that you can write. Mitch Rapp, Vince Flynn, I think is who used to be the author. That great character. You can just read a few of those, man. You think of some of the crazy stuff that the CIA is doing. It is out of this world. So that being said, yeah, and of course she wrapped her phone in tinfoil. Something you can try if you want at home, but that all being said, I thought it was kind of interesting that they're actually trying to pull a story like this. Like, nobody knew. She had her phone wrapped in foil. How could they ever have found her? Like, I don't know if I think that's totally gonna work all the time. I don't know, but you know, that being said, again, the way this game is playing out, the way that they think they're kind of winning the war, but they're not. They're losing badly, and you've got all of their assets are coming out. You need Hillary just making a fool of herself. Biden is he's quoting communist Chinese dictators from the past that killed millions of people and calling them wonderful philosophers, right? Even though it was kind of a cool quote, and the guy actually did a couple of good things apparently on top of being a totally horrible person. So again, I don't know. For some reason on the left, it's okay to like somebody who for the most part's been horrible but has done like 2 good things in their life. And then if it's somebody on the right and you've maybe done 2 bad things in your life, and like the rest of your life you've been good, for some reason they can cancel you, they can fire you, they can hate you forever for that mistake you made 42 years ago. The double standard that exists on the left is just beyond compare. It is almost, it's painful to watch sometimes, but again, it's part of this experience that we're all going through. We get to see these people just kind of unfold in front of us. And I think a lot of us are starting to see people that we once thought were really close to us have literally turned their backs on us because We don't necessarily toe that same line that they are. And we're realizing, wow, maybe I wasn't really that close to begin with. And so I think a lot of redefining is happening right now, and there's a lot of people that are truly starting to come to the center and starting to realize, wow, we've definitely got something going on that is not good. Yes, we still have a very loud bullhorn person saying, everybody's saying the same thing, everybody's saying destroy all statues, everything, blah, 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 blah. But that's just a person with a really loud bullhorn. What you've got with the rest of us is a lot of people that may not have really, really loud bullhorns, but you've got a lot of people with bullhorns, and we are getting the attention of way more people than that one massive blowhorn. Things are changing. Citizen reporting, citizen journalists, Anons working, digging through data, helping pull this data to the surface, and then you've got all these people that are waiting to share it with you. If you like what I'm doing, please like my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell icon if you want to be notified whenever I do new videos. Please share them. These are some of the best ways that you can absolutely help support the channel. These are just metrics that YouTube uses. If you want to help me financially, I've got a small little PayPal link below. You can donate. I appreciate each and every one of you. Want everybody to remember the olive branch to be extended to those that are coming to our side. There's going to be some people on the left that maybe start waking up and have some questions. Let's be there for them. Let's be open for them. Let's be loving. Let's be caring. Let's be examples of what we would want in the same case. But let's hold our ground. Let's stand firm in what we know to be true. Let's defend our Constitution and our country. And let's love one another as we start to wake up, because more people are going to. The percentages of people that are off on this crazy, crazy left propaganda, crazy stuff, is not that big a percentage. There is way more of us that are on this other side that actually can have discussions still, that can talk about things, that are not just so freaking far off the deep end that there's just no hope anymore. We'll take them as they come, but remember, we're in this together. Where we go one, we go all. United, we have power. Divided, we are weak. Let's stay together and help one another. It's On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.